Alrighty,
Hi.
hello. For those of you who I have never met, I am Mary Fridley. I have the very great honor of being the coordinator of Reimagining Dementia, a creative coalition for justice, which I have been in this position since we began, I guess 3 years ago now. We started
Wow.
early September 2020. 2020, right as the pandemic was starting. So I first and foremost, and really that's a lot of what today is going to be about. But first and foremost is I want to congratulate everyone, not only obviously all of you on the screen, but people around the world who will be joining us. Shruti, can you let folks in? Who will be joining us at tomorrow and Thursday's gatherings, but and also those who couldn't make it. But so many people who have been involved in making our kind of inaugural, I suppose, we'll see, but hopefully our inaugural Taking It to the Streets campaign, I think a modest but very, very real success. So let's please give everybody a big
Yeah.
round of applause because
Yeah. Great.
it was something to watch unfold. And as you know, and anyone who has ever started things from the ground up, there are never any guarantees. I mean, you want it to happen, you hope it will happen, you hope to inspire people to believe that it can happen, and then have them take it. But a lot of folks, and we'll be talking about this a little bit more. Hey, Jane. Um, but a lot of people took it and ran with it, and it's just beautiful. Also, I want to particularly, none of them are here, but I want to say their names out loud to all of, well, actually, some of them are here. I want to say their names out loud because obviously we will be sharing some of the people. Yes, Casey, do you know anything about Helen? No. Okay. So anyway, they but there was a small but mighty team of people who worked closely with me behind the scenes. And again, as anyone knows, those are the people who kind of make it happen. And particularly for me, honestly, they played a very important role as my mental health team too, because a lot of the things that they are charged with doing, everything from social media to tech support to setting up our, you know, mailing service, it just I start getting jittery just at the thought of it. So having people who were so good at it. So I want to give a big shout out to Romeo Columbong, Kate Fassbender, Carrie Roginski, um, Katarina Stevens, Tracy Gibbs, and Sion Lockwood, who is here. Wave your hand. Who has done a magnificent job
Great.
with our website, which has grown enormously and played a very big role as part of the campaign. Um, and the others just did everything, as I said, from social media to all the kind of behind the scenes admin work, public relations, and we're just generally the backbone of the overall campaign on behalf of the coalition. If this is your first gathering, can you just raise your hand? Okay, great. Good, then welcome. And we'll have a chance to kind of informally chat later. I would love to hear, you know, we can share more about yourselves and how you met us, even as we get to know everybody. But just some updates on the coalition and where we are at. I think this month we hit a bit of a milestone. We have now gone over 900 members, which means we have steadily grown over these last 3 years. We continue, and what's fascinating is I try to make it a point of at least those who want to talk to me. I really try to make a point of setting up conversations with every new member. And if you're one of those members and you would like to talk to me and more, I just love meeting people. it's not there's no agenda. It's really to get to know each other. It's getting to know the work. I'm just fascinated by all the different things people are doing. It just allows for a little bit more of an in-depth connection. But I'm amazed. People hear about us in so many ways, and it's very, very grassroots. And in many cases, people just don't even remember. It might be an email, it might be a text, it might be a bot podcast, it might be something they read in another organization's email. And that's important because really, from get-go, we have remained committed to being grassroots, to have our membership be the driving force, to have these conversations play a very important role in kind of guiding us forward. And certainly these conversations over the last year or so were a big part of how we landed on taking it to the streets as a way to impact. So really, I love these gatherings. Beth, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm hoping because we, as the folks who have attended know, but for those who haven't, we always begin these gatherings with a kind of, I don't know, just a way to come together and play. And do something fun and kind of community building, group building, ensemble building, whatever you want to call it. The person who we had asked to do it, unfortunately, is not on yet. So we're not.
I'm talking to her. She's trying to get on, but she's having problems. So I feel like maybe I'll keep trying to play remote IT here. But
okay, can you just make, that's all right. I think we're going to go ahead without her, but can you just make sure she has the right link? I'm assuming.
I'll figure out what's going on.
Okay, thank you. All right, so Beth, I'm hoping you will step in.
I'd be happy to.
As a person who is at least improvisation. Now, there might be others. Forgive me if somebody else has a whole background in improv and I don't know about it, but I do know Beth, and I feel comfortable putting you on the spot.
Sure.
So why don't you take it away? This is Beth Boynton. Why don't you just say, since I wasn't prepared to introduce you, why don't you give yourself a brief introduction, and then we'll do something fun together for the next minute or so.
Awesome. Yep. I'm a nurse, author, consultant. I use improv to teach communication skills, and met Mary and Dr. Susan Masad a few years ago and got connected with the Joy of Dementia, which I think was part of the heading into the Reimagining Dementia. So that's a little bit about me.
Okay. All right. Then play away.
So am I leading an exercise?
Yes, you are leading an exercise.
Oh,
No,
right.
that wasn't just so people could get to know you.
I thought I was helping you lead one. I'm very happy
No,
to.
you are leading one.
I am leading one.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's do an activity called radical acceptance. And so what this is we'll do a category like fruits, and I will ask Mary to name 3 fruits, but just one at a time. And after each one that she names, the whole group is going to respond with increasing enthusiasm. So we can use like this. So Mary will be sort of the demonstration. So anybody have questions? Are you willing to, like, what we're doing is sort of affirming what Mary is going to name as fruits. Does that sound exciting?
Just a question. Do people do it visual, big?
Yeah, but the first one is like say you said strawberries, we'll all go like a little bit of enthusiasm.
Okay, and then it builds.
And each time, right.
But it builds visually. That's what it
exactly.
Okay, great, wonderful. Yes. And again, if folks off camera, I know there were some reasons why people can't, but if you can come on just even for this, that would be great. All righty, I will begin.
All right.
Papaya. Okay, if you're doing it, just make sure you're seen. You need to be seen in the, so raise your hands a little bit. Pear.
A little bit more.
And kumquat.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do one more just because the excitement's so great. And last but not least, cherries.
Yeah.
Oh, I almost knocked my background over. Awesome. Now, as silly as that is, it's kind of fun to watch Mary got more excited. I've never seen you
Hey,
so
listen,
excited, Mary.
I
So who else would like to name some
Yeah.
fruits? Do we have time for everybody
Let's do
to
one
do
more.
it, Mary?
Let's do one
Okay,
more.
or yeah, somebody want to volunteer? You'll love how it feels to be affirmed. Okay, I see Helen.
Sure.
Bananas. Yay. Plums. Grapes.
Yay, we like grapes. We like grapes. Yay.
Awesome.
right. Thank you. And thank you, Beth. Stephanie, I'm glad you're here, Helen.
Sorry, I didn't. Sorry.
That's okay. We move with the flow. All righty. So just a brief set. I realized, have you all ever set up Google Alerts where you just put in keywords and it just notifies you if that thing or person or whatever is in the media? You should do it. It's kind of interesting, including yourself. It kind of and it's very easy to do on Google, but basically it's a way of knowing that whatever you're doing has appeared in the media. It just tells you what kind of coverage you're getting. So including providing an educational service and letting you all know that exists, I put taking it to the streets and other keywords into Google Alert, which means, but it turns out you get a notification of anything having to do that contains those keywords.
From anywhere in the
From anywhere in the world, just anywhere.
Oh, wow.
It just tells you. So I am now probably one of the leading experts on all the people and all the ways people are taking it to the streets in every corner of the world, including, and it was actually fascinating because I happen to be a big advocate for taking it to the streets generally, but it's just fascinating all the places people are, just going out and for all kinds of reasons. I mean, some of them were parades, just anything involving that you were standing on the street, but a lot of them were people going out. And one of those groups was, of course, as many of you may know, particularly here in the US, but 75,000 employees of Kaiser Permanente, which is a major healthcare system in California. They went out on strike. I guess it was last week. I think the strike continues, as far as I know, but they went out on strike at least and had a major presence of all kinds of medical professionals, on picket lines. And from what I was reading, it's the largest healthcare strike in the US ever. And I was reading an article about it, and I was struck by one of the things that it said, which is, and this is a quote from the piece, it said, like other workers, the striking Kaiser workers are demanding better pay and benefits. But many of their greatest demands can't be met with money alone. The changes they want require a major overhaul of how healthcare is delivered. And I realized, one, I completely support them. I think that is, I think we can all get behind that demand. But also I realize that's very much the spirit of, I think, what has inspired taking it to the streets and will continue inspiring whatever we do going forward. Because for me, at least, and I don't, I think, and I think I speak for the coalition generally. I'm not trying to speak for every individual member, but I think we're not asking for any particular reform, which doesn't mean the reforms that would be enormously beneficial in the dementia world, and in particularly relative to dementia care, dementia policy, aren't badly needed. I obviously support them, but we're not just focusing on any particular reforms, but really inviting people to be part of very playfully and creatively, if you will, overthrowing. I know that has a long history, but overthrowing just the entire way, culturally, politically, dementia is seen and responded to. That I think we have got to transform everything if we even have a shot at impacting on those particular things that we all care about and are probably fighting for different things. And those, again, are all important. But in some ways, we also have to address how do we give ourselves a fighting shot at being able to impact on that, and to do it in a way that's inviting, that invites regular old people to be a part of making that change. It is not going to happen from the top down. Sadly, if you look at what has transpired in our world over the last few weeks, it just brings that home even more. And so I felt, and that's why, if anything else, I felt all the more inspired. But again, ours was a tiny effort. I don't think the point is overstated, but that so many people did something to say to folks in the world, regular folks who may not have ever had a conversation about dementia. We're here, we're reimagining dementia. They're all alternatives. We can do something different together. We want and need you to be a part of this. And a lot of folks said yes. So just to give you a sense of that visually, we created a little slideshow. Now, we had a little bit of technical difficulty. So take a deep breath and be patient, and it will come up. But it turns out I'm the person who has to do it, which is always an interesting challenge. So you're going to see a behind the scenes, like how do you, okay. All right, here we go. Hopefully that should do it. Or does it? Why isn't it telling me? Ah, there it is. Never mind, sorry. I did. See, this is why I was honoring that group of people who helped with all the things behind the scenes like tech, because really, if it were up to me, nothing would ever play. Okay, enjoy.
Doing good.
You don't know me, but I'm your brother. I was raised here in this living hell. You don't know my kind in your world.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You know, it's very touching, and I've seen it a million times. So I just love all the things that happen. Um, and again, that's a slice of the campaign. There are many other things going on. For example, Beth led a workshop. There were a number of things that were not included, I will say, in this initial go round of the slideshow. We're just kind of weighing everything, including visuals, and everything will be up on the website. So all events and pictures will be up there, and we'll add after. We didn't want this to go on and on and on for the sake of the meetings, but we will add pictures to the website, to the slideshow, so that hopefully we can get as much representation as possible. But I would say and again, it's going to ultimately be impossible to know how many people were reached, because there were so many things going on, including beyond events and activities. But I think it's safe to say we probably reached tens of thousands of people, not only through the variety of events, activities, conversations, but also social media. A lot of folks posted on social media, articles in the press, podcast interviews, of which we did a number. Again, all of this is on the website. Please take a listen to some of them. And then, of course, good old-fashioned conversations. And then we have almost 600 people we have over 600 people who have signed the petition. And actually, Shruti, can you post the petition link from the website onto the chat? Because if you have not signed the petition, please do so and ask others to do so. It's a very simple way to support our vision. This is not a particularly issue-oriented petition. We're not, again, asking for some people to say, yes, we want. I mean, it has a broad array of statements and possible actions, but really it's asking people to, and just another way to say to the world, we support what they're trying to do. We support reimagining dementia. We believe that something new is not only possible, but necessary. And other folks signed on the streets. So we have paper petitions. So however you can do it, keep getting it out to, because again, you don't have to know someone closely. Just get it out to them and say, hey, this is something important to me. I hope you'll sign it. Takes a minute. Pass it on. And we were also
Mary,
proud. Yeah.
sorry to interrupt.
No, please interrupt.
Can you send me excuse me, a paper copy of that?
Oh yeah, sure. Of course. Yes. I mean, it's a paper copy can be downloaded from the website, but I'll also send it to you just so for everyone's information. We have it both available online and in paper in case you just
Yeah, if
want
you
to
could
take
send
it
me the
out.
paper copy and then I can print it out because I'm
Yes.
going to Alzheimer's Europe conference next week.
Oh, great. Wonderful. yes. Again, it's a wonderful to take with you because it almost immediately
Would be great if I had a
introduces-
t-shirt to wear.
Well, Nicolette, who's not here today, hopefully she'll come on some point this week. She's created a wonderful t-shirt that says, ask me about reimagining dementia, and then has the logo and everything.
Great.
I'll check in with her to see. I mean, it's kind of been a one-woman operation, but let's see, maybe we can order you one and just get it to you. And if anyone else is going to, and then hopefully, I don't know how we'll do it. Hopefully it will become available. We're not trying to do a big sales pitch, but it's fun, and she herself created it, so it was just kind of nice. And it's a, I mean, I'll get one just because I think it's an immediate conversation starter, and
Yeah.
you know, as t-shirts often are. Anyway, and finally, we've just, you know, we also got a lot of support, and this was an important move for the coalition because, again, as all of you know or are about to know, you know, we took very seriously, we've taken very seriously from the beginning that we want to and want to remain grassroots. All of our members from the get-go are individuals. Although, as we're finding out, our members, again, over 900 and some, work probably for every important and local and regional dementia and Alzheimer's aging group in the world. So it's not as if we don't have a connection, but we never wanted to be, we didn't want to go the institutional route. I have enormous admiration for the work that many institutions are doing. However, as I jokingly said to someone recently, I don't know if it was an interview, I said institutions are also a place where innovation and creativity go to die. So if you want to give yourself a shot at doing something radically humanistic, different, you know, you've got to start by building a base. And off of that, though, we have started and then worked and have reached out to many more organizations. And again, to some extent, we two particular, Dementia Action Alliance and Dementia Alliance International, have been very enthusiastic about the campaign, and there were other local and regional and national groups as well. So I think we're also beginning to feel like we can do some creative partnerships, and that's important because we want to work with others on bringing this out. So I think now that's it for me. So I would love to, I know there's at least a couple people here and maybe others that I don't know about, who are either have done taking it to the street events or will be doing, because again, actually technically, although a lot of activities took place between the 18th and the 24th of September, they're continuing. And I don't know what happened to Helen, but for example, she and Casey can speak a little bit about this, will be doing one coming up this Saturday. And I believe Shannon, yours is actually later as well, right? Is that, or am I? Anyway, everybody can talk for themselves. Keith, I know, was very instrumental in the event that you saw in that was a beautiful space, Keith. That was a library.
It was, yeah.
That very big kind of, where it was Toronto, but it had that very big, spacious glass. It was beautiful, and it's a beautiful picture. So why don't we just open it up? I would love to hear from folks, not only about what you did, but what has kind of emerged out of it. Like what was the impact? What were some of the conversations? What did it have? How do you think about it going forward if you do it all? I mean, I'm not assuming that, I never assume anything, because again, we're going to have to see where we come to. But let's just open it up to talk about taking it to the streets, both the particulars, but also bigger picture as a vision that the coalition, I think, is very intent on carrying out. So really, let's open it up. Anyone can, and obviously if there are questions, and if you're newer to the coalition, if you want to ask anything about the coalition, feel free. If you want to share what you're doing, I mean, there's no grand agenda here. But the Zoom is now open.
So Mary, it's Phyllis. I just want to say, I was at that event in Toronto with Keith. It was so nice to meet him. The artwork was amazing. The different displays, Keith, they were wonderful. I can honestly say that. And then, you know, the second half of it was a viewing and a discussion and stuff in the actual theater part of that library. I absolutely enjoyed myself. Met so many people that I've seen on this platform and not met in person. So I got to meet a lot of them in person, which was really, really good. I don't think I had met Keith here on the platform, but I did get to meet him in Toronto, and it was amazing. It was a really great night.
Yeah, I likewise, I remember you. You know, I remember the warmth of that evening. I mean, besides the art, which was spectacular unto itself, I think if you walked into the room and you were a total stranger towards what was going on, you just literally wanted to just dwell, right? I mean, there's one thing about visiting a museum or visiting an art gallery or visiting an event and going through and looking at things and walking away from that experience, and it may just dissipate after you drive through traffic and you get home. But this was a place where I think when people automatically came in, I had more people say to me that I felt, what's going on here? It feels like, really, do you know each other? Is what I think I must have heard that about, I don't know, 15 times. Like, does everybody know each other here? Like, are you from the same community? Are you from the same place? Or, you know, do you reside in the same area? And so I think that was something that is a big takeaway. And the other thing as well is that warmth is still with me. I mean, one of the things that happened when we first started to talk about this event was, how could we spread the word? And one of the things that I did is I reached out to a magazine called Neighbors Magazine that basically tells stories about individuals and events that are happening in the neighborhoods around where I live in Toronto, Mississauga. And I spoke to the editor about the event, and she got I mean, it was only supposed to be a small little section, and after she read the descriptions, he basically gave the entire magazine up to the event. I didn't say anything. I just literally just said, here's what it's about, and she got very enthused. But I think the other thing, and the last thing I'll say, is that is what Malcolm Gladwell often says, this great author of books, and he says the ability to spread word of mouth epidemics. And I think that's kind of what's happened here, because I'm walking in my own neighborhood that's not connected to Mary's a couple of thousand miles away, but yet people are having the same conversations. We're connected as a tapestry or a quilt, if you will, in so many different ways. And I thought that was really, really interesting. So yeah, I mean, the event itself was great, but it's what happened after and that feel good. I think that was so amazing. And if anybody hasn't really seen the magazine, it's here. Actually, Mary, I gave I have a couple of extra copies, so whoever they sent me a whole bunch of them, but it's here, and it's
also on the website.
Oh, it's on the website. Okay, great.
Oh, yeah.
So there you go.
No, so please read it. Actually, it's a very beautiful, very human piece, and it really captures Keith. Keith, can you just take maybe, I don't know, another minute, and can you just describe the design of the event? Because, for example, it's my understanding much of the artwork, or all of the artwork, was created by people living with dementia. Could you just fill in, and then kind of some sense, and maybe Phyllis, you as well, or anybody else who's there, just what kind of conversations, responses you got, both then and continuing?
So Andrea Bridge is one of the artists that, and if you've met Andrea, she's got more enthusiasm than, you know, my body could even fit. She's just an incredible person, lives with a form of dementia, but is incredibly expressive in what she does. And when I went to her house to pick up the art, I mean, she was jumping up in the middle of the street, going like, she's just, I mean, it just created a whole new life for her, I think, and a venue in which to sort of to show what she can actually do. So after meeting and speaking to Andrea about who she was and what she was about in her artwork, I realized that this is way more than simply displaying art. It was way more than that. There was a whole storyline that was part of a story narrative that was part of the artwork that was actually there. So one of the things that Romeo Pia, myself, and a few others discussed, Jenna, is really coming up with a biography of the individuals that were creating that art, because we felt that that was really important as the art itself, and having them write in their own words what that was, number one. Number two, talking about how they curated this art, because that in itself was actually quite unique. Where did you get your inspiration from? What type of materials did you use? How long did it take to put it together? One of the art exhibits was really fascinating because it was, well, from Toronto to Kyoto to New York to and from Japan, was the Ikebana curation. And that was done with persons that were, I believe the ages were 80, 81, 89, 90, but also with some of the youth that was part of this group as well. And they were some of them were from the Fukushima region. And if you remember from the news that the Fukushima power plant and some of the challenges that they had there. And so they put this all together, and then it was shipped to Toronto. And then, you know, I worked with another person, Junko from New York, to put the display together. So there's these whole story narratives, never mind Kevin Whitaker and his journey, which was displayed in the movie. So every one of these interpretive panels was the essence, you know, and the soul of the individuals that were displaying their art. And one of the things that I noticed, having done this, all of us putting this together, is that every time somebody walked up to the art, they would spend the time to read what was going on. And it gave them, everybody just said that, I did not know this, or this gave me a completely different interpretation. And then they had more questions. I mean, my voice was gone at the end of the evening just because of so many people were asking these questions. So I think the artwork itself was great. The library, if I were to give you, just to go back to Mary's point, there was a foyer area that's all encased in glass. The library is in the back, the back side, and then it was connected to a theater as well. So it was a very special venue, because there's not too many places you can actually get a theater housing 200 plus people and then having a beautiful space in the front. So we got there at 10 o'clock in the morning and worked till the evening, just before the event opened, to not only just make sure that it was strategically placed throughout the event. And by the way, that was in itself was enjoyable, because everybody got together. Well, we don't have enough easels. Well, let's find who has easels. We don't have enough tape. Well, let's find out who has this. Where's the food going to go? Well, we'll try to work on that. Like, it was a collective effort from beginning to end, and everybody got involved. Even the library attendants that were there, we didn't even ask them a question. They were just simply, he actually came up to me, can't remember, Josh, I think is his name. He's basically responsible for the library and just making sure that we had everything that we needed. He just said, I've never been in an event like this, and I've been doing events for years at this library. And it was just something I felt that I needed to get involved in. Like, I just felt like I needed to be part of that. And so for him to sort of have that experience and to lend a helping hand, I think everybody sort of had that impetus. And as I mentioned to Mary, and the last thing I'll say is that it's very, very easy to do things, to lend your time to an event like this for people that you respect and care for. It's a pleasure to do that. So.
Okay.
So Mary, I will say that they were amazing, because I was doing the theater part of it. I was emceeing the night in the theater, and these guys put together such an amazing display in the theater. They worked so hard to make sure I got it right. Like, everything was sent to me way ahead of time, so I could kind of read it over and practice and not make a mistake. And I was actually on vacation that morning, and specifically drove all the way home so I could make it to that event that night, because it meant so much. And like he said, Andrea was so phenomenal. And I know Andrea personally, because I've worked with her. She's just this amazing. And then we had people who'd never heard of it but because they knew I was there and they knew Andrea was there, they came in to see it. And they're still talking about what a great experience they had and how people welcomed them and made them feel part of the event. Like they weren't excluded, they were brought in. There was this, as Keith said, there was this dynamic that happened. And after the event, I drove home, but I had to be back in Toronto for 6 the next morning. So I thought, okay, I'll just, I'll be tired. I'll go home and I'll sleep. I didn't sleep. I will tell you, I was on such a high after that event because it went well.
Yeah,
right.
I'd agree. And one other thing I should say,
Okay, sorry, I'm
I've-
gonna actually,
oh, sorry.
I would love to hear Keith. It's just, I think I'm cognizant of time.
Oh yeah,
So
sorry.
if we can, we'll circle back to you, but I just want to give some others a chance
you.
to share. And then, but, and again, congratulations. It's a beautiful event. Others, what did you do? What are you doing? How did you intersect with this? Did you talk to people about it? And again, it's not a test. It's just, how were you moved by it? Anything.
We have one coming up, as you mentioned. Helen and myself, Helen, another member of the coalition, have a virtual event coming up this Saturday. It's called How to Talk and How to Listen, Reimagining Dementia. So it's all about improv as a way of connecting and communicating with one another. When we were thinking about, what to do, Helen did like on the streets work in San Francisco, but she reached out to me about, how we could work together. And we both thought that improv and play is this vehicle of communication that we don't tap into enough as adults. And we wanted to create space for that. And so that'll be this Saturday, noon to 1:30 Central USA time. I can put a link to the Eventbrite. If anyone, the Eventbrite link is in the chat.
You say it, it appears.
Yes, it's like magic. Thank you. But yeah, we're really looking forward to a really playful, fun discussion and yeah. So that's like what we're hoping for.
Actually, I am very much looking forward to that. And I just want to give, my bias. I'm a long time. I've stood on so many street corners talking to people in my, life as a community organizer. But I just love the fact that Helen and her team, stood on the street, had these very homemade, you saw them in the slides, homemade tables, and just stopped people and asked them if they want to reimagine dementia with us. And another team did it in New York City. And to me, that just is like, so it's very grassroots. It's kind of the opposite end of this just spectacular event, or the more formal events, all of it not better, worse, but people responded. What they did was they had sticky post-its, whatever you call it, and they asked people to write something to add to a collective poem. So that was kind of also how people participated. And then they created a poem that they'll share with those who, signed up or signed the petition, and a number of people did. So that was also wonderful and allowed us to just meet anybody who was walking by. Others. Yes, Shruti.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that I did a webinar and our work has kind of gone mainstream a bit. So in partnership with the certifying body that certifies certified dementia practitioners, CDPs, so NCCDP, I did a webinar with them today in talking about the power of art as a way for someone with dementia to express themselves. And I tell you, it was so well received. If I had given the same webinar 5 years ago, there wouldn't have been as much engagement as I found with the group today. And I just found it to be so refreshing that at least where CDPs, where the practitioners are concerned, people who are working in the senior industry, senior services industry, they are beginning to find ways to overcome that tragedy narrative and are interested in learning ways to tap into joy. And so I was very enthused by
Wonderful.
by that partnership and that presentation.
Right.
Shannon wanted to share.
Shannon.
Yes, hi everybody. So I do it a little bit differently, or I've been doing it a little bit differently because I work with a group called the Who Cares Project, Emergent Models in Care. And we're on the Sunshine Coast of Vancouver, which is a sort of a bit more removed, smaller community. And we are combined with Emily Carr University and Douglas College and the Art Farm on the coast. And so it's a 3-year project. And basically we do exactly what this is, taking it to the streets, but on a broader spectrum. So we do pop-ups in marketplaces and malls. We go to the senior centers. And what we do is the first year is about research, just talking to people, hearing what they have to say. For us, it's not solely based on dementia. It's a broader picture of what does it mean to age? What does aging mean in this community, in this time, in this place? And so as we talk to them, we learn what's important to them, what they're disappointed with, what they're excited about, what they believe it looks like for them right now, what they want it to look like, and what are the barriers between those things. And then after that, we go on to our next phases, which is really more about helping people re-envision what healthcare could be. And that doesn't mean necessarily healthcare the way it's been capitalized and put into institutions, and but it could be anything. It could be a community building resources for each other around health that have nothing to do with an institution. So it's a bit more organic, and it's a model that lives and breathes in each community separately, because you can't prescribe it from the top down, especially if you don't know the people. You have to first get in there and meet the people and get to know the people. And so while I'm doing this, while I'm talking to people in our community, I carry with me bits and pieces from other organizations or other coalitions that I know are sort of in that same vein as where we are, which is re-envisioning what we want aging to look like. And so taking it to the streets comes with me in the forms of pamphlets and things like that. And when I'm having a discussion that's very dementia specific, I put it right into that conversation. We're trying not to, make us look specifically like we're only about dementia, but when we do have those conversations, because they're inevitable as part of what we're talking about, and wanting to be seen, all of us as human beings, and having to have these conversations earlier, because it's too late when you get to that point and you start to think about it, and then we're not working as a community. And so I was able to infuse it into some of the groups that I deal with on a regular basis in the senior centers and things like that. I was able to infuse it into some of the care homes that I deal with. And then also we have what's called a lunch and learn, where we have a Zoom once a month, and we're very excited to have Mary this week as part of our Zoom. But the last person we had in our Zoom is a former caregiver whose husband had dementia. Her name is Rosella Leslie, and it paired uncannily perfect with taking it to the streets, because that's what she talked about, wanting her husband to be seen as a human being, but also what does that mean for the caregivers, and how can they have their lives. And so we built that, like you saw in the slides, a informational station in the library where they put books together, and some of them had come from Mary and some came from Rosella and the staff. Rosella's own private book got put in that stack that people could take out. and then other ones that really show the idea of how do we want it to look. And that was really popular. And then they posted it on their social media. So that was also really popular.
Right, thank you.
Could we get the book list?
Oh,
Somewhere?
sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
I would love
I'll
to
send
read
if
it.
you can send it, why don't you send it to me, Shannon, and we'll include it. We do a follow-up email after all the gatherings, so we'll just include it as a resource. And if others have things that you'd like included, send them to me. Actually, we don't have a lot more time and there's much to talk about, but I guess I'm hoping that, or did we lose her? Oh, maybe we lost her, or she. Sorry, I was going to ask Carol, yeah, Sechrist, I think she has dropped off. Brenda, can you just say a little bit about yourself? And it doesn't have to be Taking to the Streets related if you have thoughts about it, but why don't you just share a little bit about you?
I'm so thrilled to be here with everybody. I'm actually located in San Francisco. I work at UCSF right now on a statewide program called Dementia Care Aware. We're trying to get the word out for to primary care physicians and how to have a brain health conversation and do cognitive health assessments. And my role, I'm the program manager, but I do a lot of work in trying to I would say edit at this point is what my job is, to edit our messaging so it is supportive and positive, focused, and decreases that tragedy narrative. And I'm just, I'm really, really happy to be part of this group. And it feels a little isolating sometimes to be embedded in the healthcare industry and those sorts of models of care. So I'm just really thrilled to hear all the amazing things that people have been doing. And yeah, I'm happy to be here and connect with folks. And I was just actually, if you are in the Bay Area, please connect with me and let me know that, because yeah, I would love to meet people in person too. So that would be really, really
If you
great.
remind me, Brenda, I'll introduce you to Helen Abel, who was on but then had to go. She because she really is our lead in the Bay Area, and she and her another organizer, Jill Battalion. So we should. I mean, there are others, but definitely they would be a good starting point because they're kind of connected to so many others.
Yeah, I was about to message Helen and then I saw her pop off. So
yes,
I was like, oh gosh.
it was actually I kind of called her in because she was it was kind of a special thing. She wasn't originally intending to be here tonight. All right, before we go, and because we have about 1 minute, I don't know. I mean, this isn't, you don't have to raise your hands, but do you think taking it to the streets is something that should continue year long? Like, and then maybe we have a week the way we did, but and we've kind of shaped Sam's done a wonderful job. We've revamped our website slightly, not to just focus on that week, but to make it kind of, this is taking it to the streets. But is there general, like, would we like to continue this in whatever ways we ultimately continue with? Because we now have a lot more time to people to come on board. I mean, it was a relatively short, that's part of why I was so amazed, because we had a relatively short buildup time. So now we've hit the ground running, and I think we kind of are. And what I love about these conversations, it's just so many wonderful ideas and simple and complicated ways to get the message. I love the library thing. I don't know why, but I love that. It's just so simple to have the logo and the books, and it just immediately says something. And that could happen 1,000 times over. And the other thing I learned, and particularly Keith, in the work that Keith but I think it happened elsewhere as well. So I think that the reason I think we reached so many people is because a lot of the work was done well before the week of these events. Like, I know, for example, I personally, I had conversations together with Keith and Pia Contos, who's another steering committee member and was key in this event. We had numerous meetings with various organizations. Not all of them were dementia-specific organizations, and those were wonderful. And that's the kind of thing that continue after those partnerships. Those were like how to take it even further afield and continue to build on that. And I think that's what was exciting. So any final thoughts before we kind of dance our way off?
Mary, I have
Yeah.
one thing I'd like to say, and that's
Sure.
that, sometimes we get a little disheartened because things aren't moving fast enough. Things aren't changing the way we want to see them change. But I want to assure everybody on the screen that things are changing. People living with dementia are being recognized more and more. Things are happening. Last week, I was actually received an award for the dementia work I'm doing here in the Hamilton area. I got the Alumni of Distinction Award, and they have put my name through to the Premier's Awards in Toronto in November. And to
Congratulations.
me, when I accepted, I'm going to send you the video, Mary, because when I accepted the award, I didn't accept it just for myself. I accepted it for every person living with dementia and every person doing work in the dementia communities.
Oh, thank you. Well,
So
well deserved, brava. As is all of our work. And really, we couldn't, obviously, I know this is a cliche, but we really can't do it without the members and others. I mean, and in a funny kind of way, I don't want to. And to your point, Phyllis, it's thinking like, I don't think change is about speed. I mean, I've learned this over the years. I think it's because in a funny kind of way, you can go along and you kind of are doing whatever you're doing on the ground, and all of a sudden history gives you a moment, and it's like, are we ready to, like, then can we? And then all of a sudden it seems like, wow, what just happened? But a lot is going into it, but we don't control over what is going to, those funny things that are suddenly going to. And I agree with you. I mean, to Shrudi's point, the coalition doesn't exist 5 years ago. It just doesn't. I'm not under any, I think it's that we exist and we continue to grow, and that we've been here for long and we will continue. Something is afoot. What that will mean, I don't know. We'll create it, we'll see. But for now, it's a lot of fun because this is just, we just keep discovering and opening up. In a way, what the heck? We can do whatever we want to do and go wherever we want to go with whoever we want to go with. So thank you all. Shruti, and please keep communicating. Let us know if you have thoughts or questions or anything. Stay in touch. We'll obviously stay in touch with you. And for now, let's dance our way into the night or the day or the whatever.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way.
So have a wonderful rest of your weekday.
Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth.
And if you want to attend to other meetings. Anyway, welcome to everyone. We have a number of new or newish people here. So I'm thrilled, and we'll identify ourselves in a minute. But this welcome to the Reimagining Dementia Coalition's final 2023 member gathering. It has been a wonderful year, and it's been a wonderful month, which we'll be talking about. But speaking of, and of course, the big reason why was because we launched, and I think had a successful launch of our Taking It to the Streets campaign. So the first order of business is to give ourselves a lot of appreciation. So let's give ourselves a lot of props for the, no, I want to see it. I'm not saying do it in your mind because, I was thinking, I know a lot, when many of you are improv people, or we've been playing and improving here since we began. But one of the tenets of improv that I particularly appreciate is that it is all about appreciation of whatever it is you're receiving. And I think sometimes, and I know for me, I can accomplish something, but then I go, oh no, I'm going to go on to the next thing. That was fine. And and then, or you start critiquing it, or you find all the things that didn't go according to plan. And in case you're wondering, I can imagine there were probably 99,000 things that didn't go according to plan with this campaign. So rest easy, that happened. But nevertheless, I think we should take a moment to appreciate it because it didn't have to happen. We made it happen. All of you and so many others stepped up in whatever ways you could to get behind it. And, you know, I think it mattered and it made a difference. And so on one hand, I appreciate and want to thank all of you. But also I want to give kind of a shout out to some people who have worked behind the scenes and particularly have been important to me. And they are, some of them are here, some of them are not. If you are here, please just let people know who you are. Romeo Columbong, Kate Fassbender, Carrie Rodzinski, Katharina Stevens, who is here but off screen, Tracy Gibbs, and Sion Lockwood, who has, for just amazingly supportive work with social media, with our website, with just general admin, all the stuff you have to do that no one, you know, again, you don't necessarily see, but it made all the difference in making it possible then for people all over the world to kind of take this and run. So, and also I just want to, Sion is also our VJ tonight. So if you have any kind of tech related questions, she's the person to go to. Hey, Holly. Oh, good to see you, Holly. Michael, Masood, Catherine, Katrina, Barbara. Good to not see you. Now it's good to see you. So if this is your first gathering, just raise your hand. Okay, good. And welcome. And speaking of new, I am also thrilled to say that the coalition has reached another kind of milestone, which is we now have over 900 members. Which, you know, we continue to steadily grow. I must say, sometimes I'm surprised. And, you know, and as you all know, I try to make a point. I try to meet and have a conversation with every new member if they want to. I don't force myself on them, but and so I've gotten to know, you know, a lot of our members, obviously. And what's always fun, and it's just all the variety of ways people are hearing about this. Often ways they don't even remember because it's just in the ethos, I guess. But whatever it is, it's very grassroots, which is very gratifying for me because we've always been grassroots. We will hopefully remain grassroots. And, you know, I just think it's wonderful that we continue to grow, but also even as we have always focused on our members being individuals, I think with taking it to the streets, we kind of have also taken a step toward beginning to build through our members and in other ways build kind of new kinds of partnerships, alliances, collaborations, conversations with also other organizations. And that's and I think that will certainly continue to be a focus as we move forward. We are going to be talking most about celebrating, appreciating, taking it to the streets. We're going to hear from some of you who've been involved, but we want to hear from all of you just how you're thinking about it, have been impacted on. But as I said before, and I've given Robin enough lead time to overcome the technological hurdles. Bam, babe.
Just like we planned it, Mary.
Anyway, we're going to have a little community building, group building fun. Robin is, and she's one of my favorite people anyway, but she also, I love when she leads these exercises. So Robin, just a little brief formal introduction. She is a certified expressive arts therapist. She has a lot of experience supporting groups and individuals, being creative, expressing their creativity through visual arts, drama, play, creative writing, music, movement, in addition to creating or co-creating, I should say, with Jennifer Hicks, The Good Conversations. Robin is currently an artist, and she is also a very important member of the Coalition Steering Committee. And as you no doubt hear later, was also intimately involved in the Taking It to the Streets event that took place in Toronto. So Robin, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Mary. I don't know who that was, but it's so good to be with everybody. So this is safe space, everybody. So I do have a secret. If you could lean into your screen, just lean forward just a little bit. I don't want anybody else outside of the coalition to know this. Here's my secret. I have some conflicting feelings. I have some conflicting feelings about, I know, right? About the world right now, about a whole bunch of things, and even stage whisper about dementia. Yeah. And I often play this game with myself. On the one hand, stuff. And on the other hand, my more raw, vulnerable feelings, whether they are guilt or shame, embarrassment, judgment, all those things that make us human, right? So I have conflicted feelings, and this expression on the one hand and on the other hand, we've been using that since the 1600s, believe it or not, to express conflicting ideas. Now, I want to invite us to this coalition, and we play with the good and bad thing in between. Why does it have to be on the one hand and on the hand? So as in
Robin? Oh, no, I can't. Robin, you're freezing. Are other people experiencing it, or is it me? Okay, sometimes my computer goes wonky. Well, I hope we get her back.
I'm going to do the best. I'm going to do the best.
Yeah.
Maybe she can type the prompt in the chat.
Yeah.
We were almost there.
Okay, we'll take another minute. Okay, Robin, it's totally frozen. So I don't even, at this point, I don't know if she can. You know what? I think what I'm going to do is, oh, Robin, sorry, you were freezing and you're on mute now.
What a classic example of on the one hand and on the other hand. While I am not, the prompt is on the one hand, on the other hand, okay? But I want us to play with that notion. So I want you to take something else. For example, on the one elbow, put your elbow up, and on the other elbow. And you in your mind and in your heart, insert your conflicted feeling. Let us bring it into the play space. So on the one elbow, on the other elbow, on the one eyelash, with me. On the other eyelash. Yeah, absolutely. Dare I say on the one boob. On the other boob. Now, we don't get much more bare and raw than that, but listen, if standing up is available to you, I would never say ass in the coalition. That's not at all classy. But what I might say is on the one back pocket. Let me see your back pocket. I know you all have one. Stand up if it's available to you.
Okay.
And on the other back pocket. Yes, that's it. We need to bring this out into the open. You know, Walt Whitman said, do I contradict myself? Yeah, you're damn right we do. That's part of the play, isn't it? So on the one arbitrary thing on my desk that I find attractive, and then grab something right now. Yeah, something cool. And then on the other, completely mundane thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. On the top, yeah, Mary, on the top, on the one top right-hand side of our Zoom thing, touch it with me right now. And on the other corner. Travel with me back over. I'm going to show you my feet on the one toe. On the other toe. We are multitudes, aren't we? Can you stretch out your arms on the one side? Way over. Come on, travel with me.
Oops, wait.
And on the other side. Yeah. On the calm breath that we're all supposed to take one big deep. On the panic. On the smile. On the one smile. And on the are you frickin' kidding me world expression? Make your conflicting expression. Yeah, oh my God, I love that. Yeah. Yeah, oh, Pia, nice. On the quiet, on the one hand, on the gentle quiet. And now at the count of 3, the loudest, most non-quiet sound that we can make as a coalition together. 1, 2, 3, ready. Ah! Yeah, man.
Actually, Robin,
That's what we do at
I
the
think.
coalition.
Oh, thank you. That's actually, I feel kind of emotional because coming into today, obviously so much is going on in the world and so much that's immediately impacting so many people I know and love that I thought, oh God, how can we, like, there's just a way, and it is that conflict of I remain very deeply committed to playing and creating and building together in that way. And there's sometimes, as a friend of mine, it's just so unsettling and deeply sad what we see unfolding. And you kind of think, can I go through it? Can we go through it? Maybe we should just, but I think really this is one of the best responses. So thank you, Robin, and the conflictedness of it and the contradictoriness of it. And there's just no easy answer for this, which is why, of course, all that we're doing, and by we, I mean so many other people in the world. I don't mean, in a way, it's all the people who've embraced, I think, moving forward in this direction. And there's so many, and well outside of the dementia arena. So I'm also deeply heartened. And in fact, it's kind of a segue because I don't know if any of you all have set up Google alerts, but it's basically, it's a way that Google, you type in keywords and it's basically, they tell you if what you're doing that has anything to, it appears in the media. So it's an easy way to know. And I did so for the coalition. And one of the key phrases was taking it to the streets. And it also ends up that you hear about everything related to taking it to the streets, regardless of whether you're involved or not. So in a way, it was actually very organizing. Because so many people are taking to the streets, just regular old people who've kind of had it up to here with what's going on and wherever they are in their communities and their workplaces. And just, one of the strikes, some of those people who are going on the streets are about 75,000 members of the Kaiser Permanente health system in California, which is one of the largest and most prestigious in the country. And I was reading an article, and in it, this is a quote from the article. It said, like other workers, the striking Kaiser workers are demanding better pay and benefits. And many of their greatest demands can't be met with money alone. The changes they want require a major overhaul of how healthcare is delivered. Now, I think we would all get behind that. But also when I read it, I was just, because I think it's the spirit, at least, that I think inspired taking it to the streets. Both that ordinary people are going to have to join together and make those changes, but also that we're not just asking for a particular reform. Reforms are important. Don't get me wrong. I will do whatever I can and we can to support them. However, we so clearly need to creatively overthrow, if you will, the entire way, not only that our world is going, but certainly how dementia is seen and related to, and to kind of use our collective power to infuse a far greater humanity into every aspect of life. So I thought that this will be our lead-in into taking it to the streets. And what we want to do now is to share a slideshow that we created of just some of the images from events that have taken place. And we'll contain, actually, the bulk of what has happened took place between the 18th and the 24th of last month, but they continue to happen. Then we have a number of events scheduled into October and November. So it's very much alive, but the official launch week obviously has passed. So Sion, why don't we cue that up? Yeah, and believe me, that was only a taste. There were so many other things that we didn't want it to go on forever and ever. And some things we just couldn't get pictures. We haven't yet gotten pictures and images, but, and there are many more images on the website from all of these events. So, and if there is something you were involved with that isn't represented, please send us everything about it. We want to make sure that we capture everything. But and just to kind of formally, as I was saying yesterday's gathering, I think it's probably going to be impossible to know how many people we reached. It was very grassroots, and there were so many things going on. But I think it's safe to say we've reached tens of thousands of people, if not more. Not only through the events and activities and conversations, some of which you just saw and hopefully you all will report on, but also through the press, through podcast interviews, through social media, which we were on a lot, and just old-fashioned conversation with friends and family. And we have over 600 signatures on the petition, and I asked people to continue circulating it. Actually, Sion, if you could put the petition link up. It's an easy way for people to stand with us, regardless. They don't have to know anything about dementia. It's a human activity. It's a human embrace, and people have been willing to do it. And we also, I think, as I said before, we began to connect more with local, regional, national, and international organizations. Certainly, we're particularly pleased that two of those were the Dementia Action Alliance and Dementia Alliance International. But it really is too many to, and obviously all the organizations were involved in just some of whom were named in the slideshow. So it was just. I think it was we took another step, and I think an important step. So I think that we have, I'd like to take the rest of the time for us just to talk about amongst ourselves, as they say. I would love for some of the people who were involved in events to share those with us, not only just what you did, but how it's impacted both you, just all and kind of conversations. It's for whatever you want to share, but others, even if you weren't formally involved in something, what's inspiring you? What are you thinking about now? How do you think we should go forward? So really, or if you're new to the coalition, share a little bit about yourself and kind of why reimagining dementia with a small R and a small D means something to you. So anyway, let's open it up. Nothing up. And so really the Zoom is open. Unless there's jackhammers pounding behind you, why don't we go off mute so that it can just more easily flow as a conversation. And again, if need be, I'll call on people, but really, so let's open it up. And I know that watching the slideshow, now I'm even more emotional, and I've seen it 7,000 times, but there's something about it that I'd really love to hear from all of you.
I will say that watching the slideshow, actually phenomenal slideshow, also feel very emotional. One of the things that gets me so excited is seeing across.
Hey, Robin, I'm going to suggest, can you turn off your screen? Because I think it would help, because you're lagging. So while that's happening, why doesn't somebody else? And then when Robin comes back on, we'll go back to her.
I can go.
Go.
Video. One of the things that I enjoyed most at our Toronto and GTA area event was sitting down and chatting at length with a fellow that I invited from an organization that I'm part of. It's a Jewish camp. And I've been trying to raise the issues I've been taking it to the camp with dementia and reimagining dementia ideas. And he came and we had a long talk about his experience with his wife who had dementia. And it was a one-on-one conversation introducing the ideas of reimagining dementia. And that's how I like to work, is one-on-one. with individual people, and also is a good into my work with this whole organization, this camp, and spreading the ideas and changing people's minds and opening up new ideas. So that was something I didn't expect, but it was wonderful.
Well, I mean, I could go. I just want to ditto what Robin was saying about the slideshow. I think it's absolutely terrific. So moving and inspirational. We went out on the West Coast in the US, in California, in Oakland, on the streets, literally. The first time we had to cancel it because the air quality was so bad from fires. But we were able to reschedule and on a Saturday. And then, of course, there was a heat wave, but we went out anyway. We were determined. And there were about 5 of us tabling. And our opening line was something like, would you like to reimagine dementia with us? And it's just amazing, you know, like quite a few people came over and we had some really good conversations. We got, you know, like 23 signatures. And it was fun. It was fun. I think we reached, I don't know how many people, somebody from one of the newspapers who's a health editor is interested in maybe doing some kind of article on the coalition. So that was cool. But just, you know, having conversations with ordinary people. It was, yeah. So
Helen, could you just say a little bit,
great.
could you just share the conversation, like what, you know, doing enormous detail, but what were people saying? How were people responding?
Right. Well, we would kind of ask people if this, you know, if this was something that was going on in their, you know, how was this of interest to them in some way? We would kind of share maybe a little bit of us. And people, you know, said different things. One woman, she was there with a few family members, and she works for the county, which I also worked for. So we were talking about that, and she has some family members who have, you know, beginning dementia or whatever, and she was, you know, just very interested in signing the petition and supporting the rights of not just people with dementia, but also I think we also had conversations about the whole, you know, healthcare system. Yeah, I don't remember any, but yeah, that was one of the ones that I kind of remember. Yeah.
Helen, I was really struck by those photos. That really, like, you were literally taking it to the streets. So hearing the Doobie Brothers and then seeing your photos in the Bay Area, where it was really powerful, and it struck me just how brave that is. You know, I know for myself, like, I would much rather have a program and a place and not literally take it to the streets like that. So that just really struck me, and I just wanted to express gratitude for that.
Sure. We also had 2 people come out who had never been out doing this kind of thing before, both of them in their early 80s. And, you know, we had a rap and we did a briefing and we did an improv game before we started. And yeah, it was, you know, that was great. Yeah.
Also in New York, where there was a similar kind of operation. They, and I think you did this in the Bay Area as well, but they asked people, they put out post-its to just write something about, I mean, dementia related, but whatever they want to write. And then they've created a poem that they're going to then share with the people who they can be in touch with, which was just a lovely way. Also, just bringing people into creating something together. And speaking of being on the streets, Kate, you want to talk a little bit about the panoply of UK events? And Holly is also here. She, in part because Kate, since we're on the people who literally are on the streets, Kate was one of those. So you want to share a bit?
Well, yeah, it was a very busy time. I started off with visiting a an exhibition in the Urban Elephant Festival in Elephant and Castle, which was wonderful. Seeing beautiful art by people living with dementia in a project that was at the Urban Elephant place where they were doing all kinds of art and every week, but they put up an exhibition, so people dropped into that, and we had some of our leaflets there, and just chatting with a few people, mostly people who I already knew, but it was just good to see the profile there. And then on the Saturday, we were down in our local, outside our local chemist, which tends to be a rather alternative chemist, and set up a stall with my friend Anita. And we had leaflets and we had chats with people. Again, just, it did feel a bit like campaigning. Somebody said, because we were wearing blue, they said, "Oh, we avoided you because we thought you were the Tories." We thought the Conservative Party were out with their leaflets. So anyway, we soon put them straight about that. But it was good to be sort of just active and engaging and saying to people as they're passing by, anyone in your family or community that might need some support or help, we've got some information and leaflets here about music and activities in the area. So, we got a few sort of staring at the mobile phone, but a few people did stop by sort of like after they clocked that we were there. The best one, I think, was a concert we had in the library, which was Swiss Cottage Library, which is in which people have got they've got a new baby grand piano. So we had Indian musicians playing santur and tabla, and we had jazz and music going on. And again, we just had, tea and cake, which is always a requirement in the UK for any sort of event like that. But because it was in the library, it did feel a very friendly place to be, and people would pass through. But we did have probably about 50 visitors who stayed and came particularly to see the music and to be part of the event itself. And we were able to say a bit about the coalition as part of the event, and the councillor at our local town hall at Camden, who's responsible for libraries and outreach, was there. So, we had the photo opportunity with the local politician. But that was good. And actually, the rather skeptical journalist who told me when I first approached her, she said, "Oh, we don't really cover events like that. You can write a letter to the letters column." So I said, "Oh, no." So she came. A friend of hers told her that we'd like her to cover the event. And she stayed for the whole thing. She was totally blown away, I think, by the experience and stories that people were telling about their experiences around dementia. And so she wrote a very nice piece for the local paper, which was definitely counter to the tragedy narrative, and saying, yes, it's a terrible thing to get a diagnosis of, but we can live with support and community and love and joy. So she really got the message. So I think overall, I was very pleased with what we'd accomplished. It was hard work, had a great team of people, and I'm longing to hear Holly, to hear how Manchester went.
Oh, that's brilliant, Kate. Yeah, so I'm Holly. I'm based in the north of England, and did a project launch event to coincide with the Taking It to the Streets campaign. So I work as an individual artist, but I apply for arts funding as an individual, not a constituted organisation. And my work is to bring together all the larger organisations and cultural organisations and dementia support services to come together and work together. And I think that's, for me, the collaborative part of that, bringing together all. So we have 18 large organisations that are working with us on this project, and we came together. We had about 200 people there at our launch event, so members of the stakeholder organisations. Half the people that were there were living with dementia themselves. And what we did was curate a 3-hour event. So I'd spent 6 weeks working with a dementia support service called Buddy Club in Salford, to write new music that we then premiered. We did the world premiere of the music that we'd written at the launch event. So it was all new songs and poetry and music that we'd created over 6 weeks. And I brought together a group of intercultural musicians to try and diversify the offer that we're making, to make it more available to people from different ethnic backgrounds. So we have musicians from Turkey, Egypt, Africa, Scotland, myself, and Indian heritage. So it's a beautiful kind of intercultural effort, and it was very well received. Everybody received information about the coalition, so I'm hoping that people will become members themselves, and I'm going to be working over the next year to create an even larger scale event for next September. So watch this space. But it's lovely to see everybody's efforts across the world. Really brilliant work.
Thank you. And hello, Leah. I didn't notice you before. Glad you could join us. Others. Hi. Well, introduce yourself. Might as well let us know who you are.
Okay, sorry. Hey, everybody. I'm Leah Miller. I'm the co-founder and executive director of Creative Aging Network of North Carolina, here in Greensboro, North Carolina. And my time is so limited that I regret that I'm not able to be more involved, although we're working to get funding to hire somebody else. And I've just promoted the one other full-time staff person to operations manager so she can take on some of the administrative duties, so I can hopefully be more involved moving forward. That's my goal. But I like to pop in and listen and see what's going on, so I'm not missing out.
Well, I think your work is, I mean, you are so much a part of, because I never view the coalition as what it means to be reimagining dementia. Actually, we were inspired by all of you, not the other way around. You've been doing this for a while. So yes, I would love to find ways. I hope we can work closer together in the future, but really it's important to know who inspired who. Others. Pia, you want to tell us a little bit about Toronto?
Sure. But there are quite a number of us
that's true.
who are here, who were there. So yeah, so in Toronto, we organized together with Waterloo members of the coalition. We organized an art exhibit featuring artwork by people living with dementia, and also screening of 2 documentary films. One is called Chasing Monsters, and it features Kevin Whitaker's story. He was a judge, worked as a judge for many years in Ontario. And when he was diagnosed with dementia, he turned to painting to express what he was experiencing. And it was, he had never painted before. It's quite amazing, actually. And his artwork has featured in a number of exhibits. And his story and together with his wife, they're featured in this documentary film. And the other documentary film is Dancer Not Dementia, which is about an innovative community-oriented dance program that makes dance accessible to people living with dementia and prioritizes creative self-expression and social inclusion. And so we had these, we screened these 2 films. We also screened Let's Reimagine. And we had a Q&A following the screenings. That portion of the event was hosted by Phyllis Fair, and she just did a phenomenal job. For those of you who don't know Phyllis, she's a member of the coalition and very active dementia advocate, and we were really delighted that she was able to join us and just hosted it beautifully. And I don't know, it was just.
We also hosted an art exhibit. Maybe you can say a little bit about that. The art.
Oh, the art, yeah. So we had, it featured a number of different organizations and artists. And what was really exciting about it for me was just how like we featured different kinds of art. So there was photography, there was a beautiful mural, there were portraits, there was ikebana, which is Japanese dried flower arrangements that are just spectacular. So I mean, it was really, and I think for me, you know, it took us a very long time to organize this event. It was quite involved, lots of different parts to this, and didn't really know what to expect, how many people would show up, how people would engage with the different aspects of the event. But I have to say, for me, it was I just to see how deeply engaged people were with the artwork was really extraordinary. I mean, people, and we've got some beautiful photographs of people just standing in front of the artwork, sitting in front of the artwork and just taking it in, and then engaging with some of the artists who were there. And then in the film screening, we had Dance or Not Dementia. It's a collaboration with between my research institute and Canada's National Ballet School. We had the director of research and health from the school lead the audience through this demo of the Sharing Dance Older Adults program, which is featured in the film. And that was just so much fun to see the entire audience engaged in dance. So I just think engagement for me was, you know, it was really rewarding, I think, to see that and to see people just enjoying themselves. I don't know, Robin, Sherry, Margaret, that you were all there as well. Did you want to add anything?
Mention the future plans for the exhibit to travel to other places, Pia, that you were talking to Keith about.
Yeah, so Keith Francis, who's a member of the coalition as well, and was really instrumental in helping to pull that together, would like to build on the momentum of the event and to take the art exhibit on the road. So he's been facilitating meetings with various different local art galleries that have expressed some interest. So yes, that's the plan. I think it's just whether we have the bandwidth to actually pull that off. But I think it was based on the success of the event, I think it would be great if we could.
I think for me, like Holly mentioned, was seeing the diversity of folks who showed up. I was even quite intrigued. There were a few young students. This event happened at a library that I think was near a school, and some young people were going into the library and sort of saw that something was happening at the library, so asked if they could come in and have a look, and they hadn't registered, but we said absolutely, and they came and they engaged with all the art, and it was just lovely to see this sort of spontaneous sort of just walking by and by young people really wanting to see what was going on and engage. So I think that there was young, there was older, there was all kinds of cultures involved. There was just the diversity of folks who were there was really inspiring to me. And I have to say that a big shout out needs to go to Pia, because she led this thing like the trooper that she is, and you know, there's a whole lots of people who are supporting her, but you know, things like this happen because of a strong leader, and she is you know, the consummate leader. So thank you, Pia, for all the work you and Romeo did.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Sherry. Honestly, it definitely took a village. I feel like we organized the wedding to end all weddings. I mean, it was
Right.
really quite amazing. But I guess the only other thing I'd like to add about it is that the process of organizing it, curating the exhibit, and engaging with the different organizations and the individual artists, you know, that was as important to me as the you know, the event itself. It was very, very rewarding. And there were so many conversations that happened. This is all about having a conversation, starting a conversation, shifting the conversation. And there were just so many opportunities to do that, not just at the event, but all the days leading up to it. So yeah, I'm really proud of what we were able to pull together.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I love what you're saying about the power of conversation. It takes you a long way. I think we have about 8 minutes or so. I mean, I again, I don't want to, if anyone wants to share about an event, please do so. But I also want to invite some of the folks who are newer to the coalition to jump on and just introduce us to you and what reimagining dementia means in your life. I will call on you if you don't volunteer, but
I'll introduce myself. Hi, Mary.
Okay.
Hi, group. My name's Michael. I'm in New York City. I'm completely new to this. The way that I got here is that my mom has dementia, and she lives at home still with my dad. And before she had dementia, she was very creative. She did Chinese calligraphy and she did coloring and stuff like that. And she's really dropped off on that. So it's just great to be in the spirit of this. I came to this just through someone that I know from summer camp when we were kids, who works at the Eastside Institute.
Oh,
So I'm not at the place of where you all are in terms of advocacy and outreach, but it's great to witness it. But I'm at the point of just like looking for support, just as a person who has a mom with dementia, who, you know, I would like it to be more of a positive, fun, creative vibe and not just like tragedy. So that's what I'm attracted to here. Thank you for this.
Wonderful. Well, you're in the right place. And if you want to email me at reimaginingdementia@gmail.com, I can certainly put you in touch with some very wonderful people, both inside and outside of New York.
Thanks, I'll do that.
Yeah, please. That is what we're here for. Okay. Maddie, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, thank you, Mary. I'm Maddie, and I joined this coalition over the summer, just finding it through LinkedIn, the amazing work of like sharing resources that Carrie and some of you all have been doing. I'm a therapeutic recreation specialist, just kind of newly entering therapeutic recreation after finishing a graduate degree after working in aging services for about 9 years. So I've kind of decided to specialize and really work on like quality of life approaches to healthcare services. I love working one-on-one with people living with dementia, and I've had some recent experiences helping my own parents through some life changes this fall that really kind of hit me and in a close to home place where my kind of skills that I've been building professionally are needing to come into personal practice. So I think that the conversations that I've been able to have with people like Helen and Mary, Michael, just coming into this newly, really advice that I would have and that I'm going to keep on taking is to make more connections and have like individual conversations with coalition members, because there's not like one thing that this coalition is doing. It's just a gathering place with many opportunities that I'm seeing and hoping to take advantage of.
Thank you.
I'd like to share a little bit about what happened in what is happening in Calgary.
Sure.
There's 2 parks that are being, or one is almost done, but we have Canada's first dementia-friendly park that is being designed and built, and there's been a lot of work put into that park, and it's actually sponsored by the city of Calgary. So they reached out and have partnered with Dementia Network, and this is a huge endeavor, and I'm really excited about it. But there was also another dementia kind of friendly park that was created really in the parking lot actually of a seniors residence here, long-term care. And the community itself reached out to the center and wanted to bring the park to the center so that they could have this dementia friendly area that where people could bring their dogs. And I mean, it really focused around walking people going out for walks in the neighborhood and then stopping in this they called it cadoodle, sorry. And yeah, it's actually quite fun. It's fun for me to see that the city or the community is reaching out to any dementia kind of resources rather than the resources reaching out to the city and the communities. It's quite exciting, I think.
Right. Wonderful.
Hi, I'm Laura Ellen Christian. Not new to knowing who you are, but new to joining this group. I work with Educate Training Institute. So Pam Brandon is a name you might recognize. So I work with her and the rest of the team there, but I have a long history in supporting quality of life for people living with dementia. I also have a rec therapy background. So yay rec therapy. Yeah, so it's so inspiring to hear you all share your taking it to the streets stories, and it definitely motivates me to get more to the streets. Definitely a mission that Educate has, but right, like we all do, you get busy pushing your mission and helping your organization, and you forget about your personal mission of doing the work yourself. So great to hear about what you all are doing, and definitely inspired me to get on the street more. So thanks.
Thank you. All right. I know the end of lunch hour is coming due because people start to drop off. So is there any final thoughts before we again, just anyone who wants to share something before we close it out? Would love to hear from you. So this is just a I don't know, it's not a vote at all. It's not formal. However, you know, in last night's meeting as well, and we'll do it tomorrow. It seems like there's a sense of, I mean, my view, we've already revamped the website so that taking to the streets is now kind of evergreen as opposed to linked to only 1 week. Now, there's many conversations to be had. I know somebody was saying, yes, maybe I think there's generally people like the idea of possibly doing something again next year, but I kind of see taking it to the streets as I don't know, a spirit and an attitude we can carry forth all year long in small ways. It isn't that difficult to do. But I wondered if you can just kind of nod or say or raise your hand, whatever. How do you all feel about this? Do you think this is something to kind of find ways to continue? And we'll learn from it. And it's not committing anybody to anything. But I'd just like to get a sense of the group. Are we down for making sure this happens in whatever way it's going to happen over the next, well, I don't know, at least over in 2024. Let's stay there. Wonderful. Well, then, thank you all so much. It's just been and is inspiring. And in the spirit of our opening exercise, which I know some of you missed, but we were talking about just the importance of embracing all the conflict and contradictoriness of being in the world in this moment. And I think it's in doing that we can find joy and creativity. So with that, we will dance our way out. But thank you all. Have a lovely rest of your week. Keep taking it to the streets in all the ways that matter to you, and be well. I said dance it out. You also have a long day ahead of you. Might as well get it worked out now.
Like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want.
Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy where you can. So for those of you who don't know me or can't read my little box on my Zoom, I am Mary Fredlip. And I want to welcome you to our final 2023 Reimagining Dementia Creative Coalition for Justice member gathering. It's been a wonderful week. We've had 2 others that have just been very lively and inspiring. I just, it's all of you know, it's just one of my favorite things to do is to get together with all of you. And the first order of business for me, at least, and I will give you a heads up. This is a moment where we're going to celebrate and appreciate each other in the coalition, and particularly that we, had a successful launch to our Taking It to the Streets campaign. So let's give ourselves a round of applause. And I want to see it, don't think it. Oh. And I do so in part because we deserve it. I think we it was a lunch. In a way, it was an act of faith. We didn't know how our members would respond, but it worked. And we were on the streets, and we were also reaching out in many different other ways. So I think it's important to appreciate, because it's easy, when we do things, to then just jump to the next thing or start critiquing the thing we did before. And so in case anyone's worried, a million things probably did not go according to plan with the campaign, but that was kind of the fun of it, was we didn't know what to expect anyway. But I also just want to particularly thank some people who labored behind the scenes, and at least for me, were a tremendous amount of support, but honestly helped make it possible for us to do this, because they created the materials, they maintained the website, they headed up our social media campaign, et cetera, et cetera. One of them is Romeo Olbong, who's also our BJ, Romeo Schleif. And he played many different roles, including with the Taking It to the Streets event that was just a wonderful event in Toronto. But I also want to give a shout out to Kate Fassbender, Carrie Roginski, Katharina Stevens, Tracy Gibbs, and Sian Lockwood. Because again, they're the people who will not get the kudos, but they're the people who deserve the kudos. So we have also reached a bit of a milestone with the coalition. Hey, Nancy. Unmute. Oh, no, that's right. Don't unmute yourself. Sorry. We have now gone over 900 members now. So, I look forward to 1,000. And what I'm gratified, the numbers are great. I love that people are continuing just at a steady pace to find us, to join us. But also, I'm very proud of the fact that we're at least, we are enough out into the world now that people are finding us. We're never going to get the headlines or the big money, but people are starting to run across us in a variety of ways, and then saying, oh, this seems like something that would be meaningful in my life and my work. And again, as I've said in the prior gatherings, a lot of the, from the get-go, for those of you new or newish to the coalition, we have started and we will remain a grassroots organization. Our members are individuals. And I think Taking It to the Streets also kind of moved us to another place in we're beginning to build new kinds of partnerships with, other organizations, alliances, collaborations, partnerships, all of that with other organizations. Well, you'll hear about some of those today, but I know like Pam Brandon was here. Educate was really embraced the campaign. Amanda Porta, basically told her dementia-friendly Indiana group to get, you probably asked them, but to get behind taking it to the streets, and they did with wonderful creativity. So we're going to be hearing a bit more about taking it to the streets. That will be the bulk of the latter part of our conversation. But as always, how and again, if you're new to the coalition, we are always committed to doing all that we do, including our meetings, as creatively and joyfully as we can. So we always begin with a kind of some community building fun that I ask you to participate in. Again, if folks are able to come on camera for this aspect of it, that would be wonderful. But please, even if you can't, play along. It matters that everybody is part of the fun. So to lead us, I'm going to hand it over to Mal Monet, who is a Boston-based theater artist, activist, writer, and professional healthcare clown. And she co-wrote, and if there's anything you particularly want to add, feel free. I'm going by what may be an older bio, but she co-wrote and performs in the Pineapple Project, a theater piece for kids that celebrates gender diversity. And among their performances is also, well, I call it a star turn. I'm sure everyone who sees her agrees, as Dr. Mal Adjusted in Boston area hospital. So Mal, take it away.
Thanks, Mary. Hi, friends.
Hi.
Hey. So I'm in Boston, which is New England, and it's October, which is my favorite month. Could be because my birthday is the day after Halloween, but I am selfishly going to start a little game that's centered around Halloween spooky vibes, and I brought my favorite little pumpkin gourd with me to get us all in the mood. So I am going to suggest a variety of emotions or states of being that are under the umbrella of, I would say, a Halloweeny spooky vibe. And each thing I suggest, feel free to embody that both in your facial expression or whatever, and just let's do it big for everybody and look at everybody's screen, because it makes me really happy, everybody's creative spirit. So are we ready?
Okay, so everyone come off mute.
Yeah.
There's no reason to be muted.
Okay, so I'm gonna give these prompts, and then I'll give a few seconds between so we can enjoy. All right. All right. The first one is surprise. The second one is mysterious.
Come on, have the baby join the fun.
The next one is smelly. The next one is spooky. The next one is too much sugar.
For anyone who has kids knows this.
And the last one is, if you could be your own jack-o'-lantern, you were a jack-o'-lantern, what would be your expression? Look at those faces, people. I want to take a photo of Mary just on that one.
I know.
Thanks, friends. That was fun.
Thank you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
good. Well, you know, I think it's very apt because I don't know about you all, but and in a way, it's always hard to know. It's all relative, I suppose, but it feels like it's kind of a scary moment in our world. And there's just so much going on and so much that's painful and distressing. So I for one, am just thrilled to be part of just playing with some of that because it just, I don't know, for me, it puts me in a much better position to head out into the day and keep doing what we're doing. So just a little bit about the campaign. Oh no, actually, I think I'm going to do something else. Since there are so many new people here, I think this wasn't, I'm kind of playing it by ear, but there's a number of new people here. So I thought, I want to, if we could just take maybe, I don't know, we'll give you like 6 minutes or so. I mean, it's not a long time, but I want to break you into small groups just so you have a chance to connect a bit with other members. There's no topic. You can introduce yourself. You can talk about you can talk about sports. I don't care. It's really, though, I think it would be helpful for folks to just have a chance to connect and learn a little bit, and then we'll proceed as the larger group. So Romeo, maybe we can just, and let's set it for about 6 minutes or so. All righty, welcome back. I hope you enjoy getting to know each other.
Yes.
Oh, good. Well, and again, we can continue I mean, we're not so large a group that we can't continue with, even as we'll get to know each other in other ways. So some of you who've been on other meetings this week have heard some of this already, so you can, pretend that you're interested, for my sake. But I was saying that one of the things I've been talking about is, I don't know if anyone here has ever set up a Google alert, but it's basically a service that Google gives you that you can type in certain keywords, and then it's a way of they let you know if what you're doing appears in the press anywhere in the world, or if you're getting any kind of attention. So it's actually helpful. So one of the key phrases that I entered was taking it to the streets. Which turns out what they show you is anything having to do with people taking it to the street. So I'm now probably a world's leading expert on all the ways people around the world are. It turns out it's very inspiring because I think for understandable reasons, I think people want to get out there and kind of say, no, something's not right. We need to do better in all kinds of areas of our world and our life. But one of the strikes or one of the efforts was, as some of you, at least in the US, may have heard about, there's about 75,000 employees of Kaiser Permanente, which is one of the largest healthcare systems in the country. It's in California. They're taking part in, I guess, what is the largest healthcare strike in the US ever. And I was reading an article about it, which said, and this is the quote from the article, like other workers, the striking Kaiser workers are demanding better pay and benefits. But many of their greatest demands can't be met with money alone. The changes they want require a major overhaul of how healthcare is delivered. I can't imagine anyone on this screen, I mean, feel free to if you do, but I can't imagine too many of us are disagreeing with that. Clearly, healthcare needs to be radically and humanistically revamped. But also, I think it's the spirit, for me at least, it just to me, it embodies the spirit that inspired taking it to the streets. Which one is just ordinary people going out, inviting friends, neighbors, strangers, everyone. Not to support a particular reform, although reforms are important. I have long supported many reforms. But we also have to playfully and creatively and be a part of just overthrowing the whole way dementia is seen and related to, which is not unrelated to the healthcare system and the biomedical model. So just to give you a taste of what that has looked like so far, and just a proviso, not all Taking You to the Streets events are over. They're continuing through October, and I think even in November. So this isn't over, but based on the events that have happened, and particularly through our official launch week of the 18th to 24th of September, we created a little slideshow just to give you a little bit of a taste of what Taking It to the Streets look like. So Romeo, take it away. Okay. Yes, it was, I don't know. I always get emotional watching it. I've seen it 9,000 times, but I am just so touched because again, as if anyone's ever tried to do anything from the start, from kind of, you don't know what's going to happen. There are no guarantees. You've got to kind of keep working it. But I think the just, and again, this is just a slice of what happened. And honestly, I think it's going to be impossible to calculate how many people we reached. But I think it's safe to say it's in the tens, if not hundreds of thousands, but certainly tens of thousands I feel comfortable with, not only through the events and activities that were held in a variety of settings, as you saw. And there were many more that we just couldn't capture either because we didn't have the visuals or for and somewhat for time reasons, but also through social media, through press articles, through podcast interviews, and just conversations that I'm sure all of you have had, to at least who've uttered the words reimagine dementia out loud to somebody or somebody's and kind of engaged them in conversation. So, but also we have over 600 people who have signed a petition. That is something, and Romeo, could you put the link to the petition in chat? Just because it's one of the ways we want to continue this, and it's an easy way to people to support this vision, and to learn a little bit more about us and what we're about. So keep getting it out. It takes a minute. It's in something literally anybody can do. But it's an important, and it's just a simple way to come into this community, this movement. Others are asking, what are we going to be doing in 2024? And also, again, as I mentioned before, I think we were very proud to work with and be supported by a number of local, regional, national, international organizations, including Dementia Action Alliance and Dementia Alliance International, both of whom were built and are run by and for people living with dementia. So we'll hopefully, as soon as we're able, we will try to create a more robust report. And we're certainly going to be doing more by way of looking forward to what's ahead. But now I think I'd like just to take the remaining time, and we have a little bit of time, to open it up for us to talk together, to hear from some of the people who were involved with events or other conversations, just however. But also everyone should feel free to share whatever it is you're doing to reimagine dementia, and how it's inspired you, and what are you now how are you now thinking about how to bring that more into your work and life and all that. So why doesn't everyone come off mute, so you can respond to each other. And I mean, if there becomes a competition for talking, I'll call on you, but I think we can handle the rush.
Well,
so
Mary?
I think, yes. Go, Alice.
I think it would be, I'm eager for Rebecca and I to read our poem, our posted.
Okay, so why don't you give it a little bit of a setup, and that's fine. But why don't you share what the whole experience was? Meaning, what did you do to create the poem? Not everybody knows.
We set up a table on the street. Rebecca, jump in anytime. We had
You're doing great. you got this.
Posted
Midtown Manhattan in New York.
In Manhattan on 43rd Street. As I was saying in my breakout room, that our first date was torrential downpour. So we scheduled a new date, October 6th, and then it looked like the weather was going to be rainy that day too, but we said, hell or high water, we're going to do it. And I spoke with a restaurant down the block. We were on 43rd, the Little Pie Company. They're very gracious because they have an overhang. And they said if it rained, we could set up under their overhang. We didn't have to do that. We set up on the block. And I don't know about you, Rebecca, but at first it was a little awkward, you know. Hi, we're talking. What?
Yeah, I think what was helpful is the second we got set up, the second everything was up before we even thought we were going to get started, someone came and started asking questions because the sign grabbed them. So that helps me at least to feel less nervous, if that makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah. And I loved it when you just started saying, hi, we're chatting about dementia. And then people started stopping. Hi, we're chatting about dementia. So anyway, then we asked people, we left it, you could say more, Rebecca, we left it kind of open as to where the conversations were going to go. And ask people to add to our poetry board. We had large Post-its, colorful Post-its and marking pens, and to sign up. And anyway, say more, Rebecca.
So that, say a
Yeah,
bit
so
more,
I mean,
Rebecca, but then you can transition to the poem.
okay, so I think that, we were asking a lot of different questions. I tried to start from the perspective of, what's your lived experience with dementia been, just so that I was able to meet people where they were at, and then kind of go from there in terms of how we can all reimagine dementia in different ways. And then we did ask them to just contribute phrases on Post-its, which we put on a board that Alice made like a little collage with the logo, with the Reimagining Dementia logo, and people popped their Post-its with their phrases on the board. And then over the past week, Alice and I made like we just put them together. We didn't do anything. I mean, we just took the phrases that people wrote and we put them into a poem. And Alice, would you like to start reading the poem?
Just wanted to add before we continue that I was.
Oh, June's here too.
Yes,
Yeah,
I was
June's
with the team, and the most touching, I mean, I think everything that we're saying was wonderful. Everybody that we spoke to was so connected one way, or so many people were so connected to dementia in one way or another. I mean, they were not odd, uncomfortable conversations. It was, I mean, it almost felt like we were just able to take away the tragedy of dementia just by talking to people. It was so humane. We had very humane conversations, and the two of you were putting together the operation. It was just fantastic. It's just a fantastic job. So
Actually, I'm going to make
there you go.
sorry, I'm going to make a slight change, Alice. Let's come back. I want to just make sure that others have a chance to chat. I think we could come back to you and have you read the beginnings of the poem, and then if I have it, we'll make sure to get it out to the entire membership. So it will be part of our follow-up email. So people will have a chance to read it. But for now, Zetsu, you want to share a little bit about Durban and South Africa?
Just unmute. Yeah, hi everyone. Oh my goodness, I don't think I've even recovered from that trip. It was absolutely amazing. And I think connecting with the group, it kind of gave me that courage to say, I've got nothing else to lose. I need to go out there. And I arrived on the 19th and the 20th, we went into the street. And it was led by people, senior citizens, and we just moved around in the locations, and we're joined by the National Social Development, so they were kind of interested, and it was fantastic. We wore those T-shirts and the placards, and people were just like staring at us, and they were just so happy that I was able to organize such an event, where basically people take up to the streets, and the police were there to help us sort of be safe in the street and walking around in the location. It was fantastic. And then on the 21st, we also had to have another event on the actual date in Lamontville, where we're saying, let's make Lamontville dementia friendly. A lot of people came, a lot of government people were involved for the first time. They kind of came along. And some of them admitted that they've never heard of dementia. They didn't know this was dementia. I mean, we still have a lot of work to do. And then the last one, which was very personal to me, was the opportunity to meet all the carers that I've been working with over the years, on using Skype, using voice notes, using WhatsApp calls or videos. So we actually met for the first time over 200 of them. And then in that meeting, the minister came. And she apologized because Emily knows that I've been funding this thing on my own, for a number of years. And I was like, I'm tired. I need some help. I really need the government to help me because this job is just bigger for me because there's so much need. And they apologized. I said, we're so sorry. I don't know which doors we were looking when I try and help you. Well, I don't know. I believe when they do. But the most important thing, they were there. And there was articles, and I went on radio. I was talking about taking to the street, what it means, how the communities have to actually go out there and just make a lot of noise. And then we just get a lot of phone calls, people saying, I didn't know this was dementia, please, can you help me? So even now, we've got over 300 phone calls that we need to respond to and see how we can help people. So,
Wonderful.
and then I was sick because
Thank
I was
you.
so tired. Yeah. So it's been
Thank you.
great.
No, it's very inspiring. Others, don't be shy. Ross?
I
Are you
put a link
Yeah.
in chat if anybody is interested in what I'm doing.
Sure.
Trying to learn AI. But I use Dementia Alliance stuff as and what I do, I just want people to be able to copy it before it goes, and I don't need anything other than sharing that. Thank you.
Okay. Copy it before it goes. You have 5 minutes. No, sorry, 15 minutes to copy Ross's information. Thank you, Ross. It's actually lovely to finally see you in, well, person. Amanda, you were, how did that, I mean, I just love the array of events. She, as I mentioned before, and you saw on the slide, Dementia Friendly Indiana did a number of things, including a food truck and the ice cream social and the salad. So can you just give us a flavor of, not just, maybe less about what they did, then kind of how it impacted, what was the, just was kind of what kind of scenes were created.
So here in our area, in the Bloomington area, we actually did get together and at the main park here, and we did a lot of fun singing. So I think we had a lot of people turning their heads going, what's going on? And it was just good to be, and as far as impact goes, I know that the people who showed up to take it to the streets had, just had this relief of, we're getting together, we're doing something fun, and all my friends are here, and I want to keep doing that. So I know that there is some repetition now, so they'll be going back and continuing that after, we've been able to get that, just that movement in there so that they feel comfortable stepping out into the streets of living with dementia and care partners alike. But across the state, they continue to do stuff. So I know that there's a fair this week up in Indianapolis, and so Dementia Friendly Indianapolis is planning to do some taking it to the street. So we're hoping that, and underneath our umbrella, we continue the movement of just showing up in all the places and laughing and having fun and still being part of our communities.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Actually, I think what you're saying is important, because I sometimes, and again, I think one of the most important things about taking it to the streets was, one, everything we did before September 18th. I think we reached so many people in the lead up and had so many conversations and reached out to so many new people. So really, while I loved what happened in the events, it simply was way more than that. People, we were, in a way, it started in June. But also, I think this was, and I mean this seriously though, it was a practice run. And if nothing else, and I think all of this work, but certainly including the people who actually stood on street corners, although I can't imagine why it was awkward talking to strangers about dementia. I mean, really. No, but I think nothing else, it shows that it's possible. You may not choose to do it. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but it's doable. I think we've established that there's a lot of ways that we can go and build on. Others, and including, actually, Jill, sorry, I want to hear from you. But I'm hoping some of the people who are newer could just share a little bit about yourselves and what's drawn you to reimagining dementia. So I'm not going to call Mason, Merla, Beatrice, Delia, anybody who wants to, but Mason, why don't you kick us off?
So this is my first meeting. So I just finished my master's and I've started to do work in research with dementia. So my boss actually introduced this coalition to me. And I brought forward doing something to our dementia group. And it evolved from a 1 day going to the park and making it dementia friendly and inclusive to now once a month for the next 12 months of exploring different parks in the community and doing different
wonderful.
activities in the community to make it dementia friendly and kind of show that people living with dementia are in the community and aren't what people think of in long-term care homes, and that they're more the capable of like driving and participating. So it went from like a 1 day event to like once a month for the next 12 months kind of thing. So that's what we're working on this year. So it's really cool. And we have a steering committee of individuals living with dementia that pick the locations and the activities, and we just kind of facilitate it. So that's what we're doing.
Beatrice, I'll come to you in a minute, but what you're saying, Mason, what drives me mad, and this was true when my mom was, and she eventually passed away with dementia, and she was in a care home. And it used to drive me mad that one of the things that they deprive people of is space and being outside. So I think that, you know, either we bring the parks to them or we find some frickin' ways. Everybody can be in a park. It doesn't take special cognitive abilities to be in a park, to enjoy yourself. So I'm so happy because we just kind of keep having to demystify this stuff. Like, oh yeah, well, I don't know how I could be at a park. Okay, Beatrice, share.
Oh,
Yep.
oh yes, it's unmuted. Thank you. I don't suffer dementia at the moment, but both my parents had it and they've moved on. But I'm aware of the stigma towards people with dementia or any other mental health. And I wanted to know more while I was on Eventbrite looking for some other thing, because I'm differently abled, I'm housebound and bedbound. So these sort of virtual meetings are good for me because I do want to speak out and take part in, it doesn't matter whether it's dementia or anything else, but dementia is just as important. This week, something came to me. I heard that from a specialist, IBS specialist, that IBS was not considered a symptom when I was, say, back in the 60s or 70s. It was considered to be a mental disorder. And today we absolutely know that it is a disease. It's an illness, sorry. So what I'm trying to say is the way we treat dementia and any other mental health is all wrong. And I do seriously question the very word dementia. Sorry, I do. Because it's like I don't like being called disabled. I prefer being called differently abled. Because if I were disabled, it's like any motor that's disabled, it just does not function. And I still function. So that's why I'm here anyway, to know more about these things and to be informed.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. Others.
They celebrate neurodiversity.
Yes, exactly. Which we all are, by the way.
Oh, I know.
I can guarantee no one person and no three people in this group learn, see, cognate the same ways. I mean, Masood, you had your hand up.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I am probably one of the rare ones here today because I'm actually living with the condition. I was diagnosed with dementia and I'm experiencing it day to day. I know Mary knows about it, but some of the new people might not know. So, and what Beatrice was just saying, I can relate to that because the word dementia, because it's so closely linked with demented, majority of people out there automatically assume that if you are diagnosed with this horrible illness, you are incompetent, you are incapable, you just cannot do what you're supposed to do. And, you know, I'm living proof. I've been living with it for 12 years and I can still function as well as anybody. I have lost some abilities. Dementia has taken some things away from me. I'm not denying that. But the abilities that I've retained them well, and I'm using them to the best of my ability. And every time I get on a session of this nature, the feedback that I get from them is so positive that it keeps me motivated, and I keep going on and on and on. So I think that, you know, understanding the person and looking at his abilities and his abilities that he has or she has retained, instead of looking at the disabilities, I think we will succeed, and we might even between us find a cure for this horrible illness, or even prevention.
Yeah.
And it's working together that matters.
Yeah. Okay, great. So just to respond to what you and Beatrice were saying, I had a dear friend and mentor who, for many years, I was a group therapist, and he taught me pretty much everything I used to know. And it was an approach that was anti-diagnostic, we didn't label people, we didn't relate to people in a way that, you know, that supported a search for a diagnosis. And he always used to say, look, I don't think we're going to get rid of diagnostics. I mean, the psychology establishment and other, and we as human beings have very conflicted relationships with diagnosis, right? It's not as simple, cut and dried. However, I think there's also an increasing awareness that they're not always very helpful, rather by way of limiting how we can live our lives in the way that you two are describing. And he always just say, look, if we want to, what he recommended us doing, which I actually really believe, is let's bring all the people, let's bring as many folks together. And if we want to diagnose ourselves, we can create whatever it is we want to call ourselves. But let's democratize it. There's no particular reason why some expert has to come up with trying to tell us who we are. If we want to do that, great. And then maybe that can keep changing and we can play with it. And it's not, you know, I don't think that just the words hurt. It's how immediately they over-define how we see ourselves, how we see each other, what we believe is possible. And that's true of anything. I don't care what the label is. And we're all labeled. We all have them. So I love what you're saying. And I think that's the spirit. Hopefully we'll keep addressing this. Karen?
Yeah, just to riff off of that, you know, that is so true. The labeling thing. I mean, I myself am an alcoholic, and in the world of alcoholism, like, I'm the only one that diagnosed myself as an alcoholic. Nobody else can. I mean, in the world of you know, nobody else can diagnose myself. I'm the only one, and that's very important and very important to me. And you know, and in dementia, you know, that thing about the stages makes me insane. You know, I don't ascribe to that. I mean, my mother could be in any one stage in, you know, in not only in one day, but in any 10 minutes, she could be in any one of those stages. And you know, I'm really moved today. Something came up to me. I read something today. Dementia caregivers will become one of the most inventive, creative people you will ever meet because they have no choice. And I would say that about people with dementia too. You know, as Max said, you know, you lose things, but you compensate for them because you have to. And you know, it's been a really hard week with my mom. And yet, I mean, I write down all the joyful moments, right? And all the humorous moments, because those are the ones I want to remember. And even if she doesn't, you know, I do. And I commend everybody for being here. And I'm so grateful I joined this meeting today. So thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Yeah, I think that, yeah, I mean, I certainly think I can, and it's, I think, of a sense, I couldn't agree more that dementia, what's rarely discussed about dementia is the opportunity it provides us to live and learn and speak with each other and connect in very different ways, more creative ways. However, that's why I believe so strongly in what we're doing, because people also need the tools and support to be able to do that. That's not something that comes naturally or easy. I mean, for some folks, but for the most part, I think this tragedy narrative just kicks our butt. So we've got to be, that's why it's important for us to be standing on street corners or marching through Durban or putting up signs in libraries or whatever we're doing, that let people know, hey, if you want to move in a very different direction, here we are. take advantage of that. I mean, the people in the screen and our members and everyone else are just remarkable people. And I would, all of us, you know, I would go to any of us for support and help. Nancy, why don't you wrap us up? And then as soon as she's done, you have about 45 seconds. And then we're actually, I won't say, we're going to say, as we're going to dance our way into the next part of our days. But Nancy, why don't you close it out? Thank you everyone for coming.
I just wanted to say, when I joined Reimagining Dementia, I did not realize the scope of it. And the fact that you are here today says something about you and your inquisitiveness and your curiosity, and it is that. And Mac, I know what you say. I 10 years now I've been diagnosed. So we can. There is hope. There is inspiration. There is a way to work your way around where you are if you're carrying it. And if you're a caregiver, God bless you. I don't think you hear thank you enough. And I just want to say thank you for coming on today. Thank you, Mary, for giving me the little jingle. And have a blessed day.
And thank you all. Let's hit it.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say.
Come on, move it. You got a long day ahead of you.
Sunshine, she's here. You can take a break.
Enjoy the moment.
I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do.
Great rest of the day. Life, and we will see you again. Be in touch with me if you'd like to